Fans of a Horus Heresy, Adeptus Titanicus and seamless plastic weapons, thank you very much for joining me for a how-to video where I'm going to show you how to assemble part of the new Warlord Battle Titan kit from Adeptus Titanicus. So you don't have an ugly mold seam or part seam, not a mold seam, a part seam between two parts. So it's a common issue with plastic miniatures that if you have any sort of cylindrical or square form and it's split down the middle, you have to make it in two parts. But when you put those together, you end up with a seam running between them. It isn't really supposed to be there. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you with the Belicosa Volcano Cannon from the Warlord kit. Right, what do I mean? Well, let me show you. So this is the core of the Volcano Cannon, and the way it assembles is you have a left and a right side of the weapon, which goes like that and like that, and it goes together like so. And there's some clever design work done here. The ornamental armature has been offset, and so there's no seam running down that. However, on the if I can get this right, we're up. On the front of the barrel there is, and there we go. It's not huge, but it's still there, and then it runs around, and I guess it's also visible here. And then if we look at the rear of the weapon as well, if I can remember how this goes. I should know this because I built one of these full size. There we go. Clever design, so there aren't really many seams visible, but there is one there, and there is a bit of one, and a little bit of one there and under there. So what I'm just going to do in this video is I'm just going to show you a little technique you can do using a type of liquid poly to mask that once it's fully made, and then when it paints up, well, you won't even see it. What do we need to do this? Well, I've got the parts, they're all cleaned up and off the sprue. We need, this is the main thing we need, and this is some liquid poly cement. Loads of people make this. Now, the important thing is this is a kind of bog standard liquid poly. It has a slightly, there you go, it has a slightly viscous consistency. So it's quite fluid, but it's a little bit viscous. It's far more viscous than this stuff, which is Tamiya extra thin cement and the equivalents, and this stuff's like water. Well, it's actually less viscous than water. We'll have that to hand in case we need it. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this. This glue is quite handy because you can use it to melt a little bit of the plastic, and because of the thickening agent in it, or because it's thicker, you can kind of squidge your parts together, that's a technical term, and then almost build up like a ridge with that material. Let it set, and you can file and cut it down, and you've filled the gap. So it kind of accomplishes assembly and gap filling in one fell swoop. So there's a plan. So as well as we've got the tissue, we've got our liquid poly cement, and then we just have a few tools to hand. So we've got a sharp craft knife, a blunt craft knife, and a needle file, flattened side, curved upper, and tapering to a point, just in case we need a dusty brush. Right, so let's begin. We're going to start with the rear heatsink, which I think is what you need to assemble first. If we just check the instructions. What does it say first? Yeah, so heatsink first, then the barrel. So we'll do that. Right, the important thing is to get a decent amount of adhesive where we want to smooth the joins. So that's here and here. So we'll apply that. Right, off we go. Oops, got a bit of glue there. A bit too much glue. So let's just tease it apart again. I've not got quite enough glue on here, so I'm going to run a bit more in there. There we go, that's it. So now what you can do is you can see how there's excess glue there and there, and you just need to push them and just let it push it and let it relax a little bit, just to kind of build up melted material. And then I might just speed this along. I'm just going to run a little bit of adhesive, the thin adhesive, in here, just to accelerate this sticking, or shall I say holding. The disadvantage of the more viscous glue is it takes longer to set. Right. Now I'm going to put the end cap on as well. Use fast glue for this. The other advantage of putting this end cap on is I can use it to almost act like a vise on this section here where I want to hide that seam. Okay, now let's look at the front end. Right, so I'm going to want this bit to kind of get the seam out there, and then also the barrel is the other bit. I'm going to put the thick glue on where I want this thing to go. Like that. Also around here, and then here as well. And to make this work quicker, I'm going to put some of the thin into this attachment lug here and here, and that's just to get it to go together quicker. I'll run some more thin in here. Like so. And then some more thin in here. And we'll press it, we'll locate all that. Right, have we got enough glue on? So we need a little bit more adhesive on this tip of the cannon, so I'm going to carefully apply that. Yeah, that's better. So now I'm just going to apply some pressure to this. I'm going to have a little bit more glue in here. Now, as to whether or not you're bothered about getting rid of a mold seam like this one, which is relatively secluded, you know, obviously that's something you can do. I mean, I'm not really bothered about getting rid of that one. I'm more doing it just to show you the principle of technique. Right. More glue there. The super thin, you can get away with applying it to the surface of parts along joins where you're going to later sand and file them. You can actually do that without destroying detail. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. What we're going to do now is we're going to probably wait 20-30 minutes while this sets, and then we'll come back and we'll resume. Okay, here we are back again. So this is now set, the glue has dried, and now we're going to have a go at cleaning down the ridges of material to give us a final seamless joint. One more tool, got the bradawl spike, and the reason I wanted that was just to run down here, because that's a bit of a harder place to get a knife into. There's a little bit of stuff that bubbled up. I can show you another trick here. If you remove some waste plastic like this and it looks scratty, what do you do about that? Well, our friend the fast drying liquid poly can help. So just take a small amount on your brush and just gently run it along where you've roughed off the material, and it'll melt away any burrs and dissolve them into the seam. So that's a neat way of doing that. Very handy trick, I use it all the time on plastic models. Right, let's start by just having a bit of work over this seam here. So there's a whole load of detail here, so I'm going to start just by working it with this needle file and just sanding down the prominence. Now we might find that this actually does the trick. We're going to use the same technique as we did between the barrel. I often find if at this stage, if we can avoid the knife, there are benefits. The problem with the knife is using a scalpel blade on plastic is it tends to snatch at the surface. Now it works better here where you've got a narrow tight little area, but it does tend to snatch at the surface and you sometimes end up with gouges. So now I've got the glue again, and we're now just going to run some adhesive over there. And now look, pretty happy with that. Once that's painted, that's going to appear pretty much seamless. Very simple trick, but very, very effective. On large parts, I mean, this is something that I picked up through aircraft modelling, and you know, with that you've typically got cylindrical fuselages, or you know, all sorts. You can get very sophisticated with what you're using to sand these ridges down, then recut detail and stuff. We don't need to be quite so sophisticated here, but nonetheless we can get a good result. Look at there. Right, okay, now let's work on this, which is the barrel of the Belicosa Volcano Cannon. We'll start by just scraping a little bit of this excess away. Started with the knife there, but I've switched back to the needle file. If the light's a bit bad on the video, I do apologise. Unfortunately, it's a little bit overcast today, so even though I've got a light on in the room, it's still might still be a little bit dark, so apologies for that. If you're having any trouble seeing, let's see how that looks. Right, I've just taken another pause there because the adhesive hadn't quite fully set, so let's return to working on the barrel of the volcano cannon. Let's see if we can finish this up now. So I think, as I was saying before, I think generally I prefer doing sort of smoothing work with a needle file as opposed to a craft knife. You don't need a lot of force, and I think the needle files are a good choice of tool for this. And also, yes, it avoids any snatching on the plastic by a knife blade. There's this bit under here that wasn't quite fully set, so hopefully we're at a point now where it is. Got to admit, the Warlord Titan kit looks lovely, just as the Quest Taurus Night kit does, and you can see those guys in the background there. I'll be doing a video on these later, but I have to admit these are quite possibly my favourite plastic kit that's come out of Games Workshop that I've ever made. They're a load of fun to make. They're really, really good, and the kit quality is excellent. Really, really good. There's hardly any more lines on them at all. So really, real joy to build. I wouldn't often make a recommendation like this, but whether or not you're interested in playing Titanicus or not, I would say just pick them up anyway, because they're so much fun to build. I'm sure they'll also be equally fun to paint. That looks pretty good now. It's got a little bit of a seam visible here still. I wonder if we can just, using this blunt knife, there we go, just smooth it off. Just while the surface is slightly dissolved. I'm also having to quite carefully work around the rivets on the barrel. pretty happy with that. That's good. Of course, once you paint these, the little bit of roughness that you can see here will certainly be hidden. There we go. I think I'm going to leave it at that for that bit. Done the barrel. We've done the underside. Now we just need to look at this bit here. This bit here is probably a little bit unnecessary, given where it's located. But you know, well, I've done it now, so just as a more of a demonstration of a technique as opposed to a necessity for the part, shall we say. That's alright, I suppose. I'd have to put some more material in to fill that. As I say, I'm not particularly bothered about that when it's hidden away. The main thing I was concerned with was the actual barrel of the volcano cannon, which I hope you can see we have a nice seamless join on now. I think that pretty much concludes what I wanted to show here. I'll just show you another part I've been working on off camera. Here we have the waist joint and just done a bit, well, you can't see it so well, but I did another bit here. Let's see if we can get the spike. Another bit here just to smooth that bit off. It's only a small area. Yeah, it's a handy technique though, and certainly one that's it can improve the final look of the model for when you paint it. I hope you've enjoyed that little demonstration. Please do share your thoughts and observations. Maybe you've got some tools and ideas about how to do this. I've done a little bit on like aircraft models and watched some videos about it, but I pretty much made my own technique up in a way. Yeah, if you do it another way, please do share. Interested to hear. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.